Now, let's welcome Vijay Ramachandran, Director of Artificial Intelligence at KLA, to the stage. Vijay joined KLA straight after graduate school at Ohio University in 2000. During his time with the company, he has worked as a software manager, applications engineer, program manager, and marketing manager. He currently leads KLA's efforts to grow the AI and Modeling Center of Excellence in KLA's new Ann Arbor headquarters. Let's welcome Vijay to the stage.
Thank you, everyone. Hi, Internet. So my name is Vijay Ramachandran, and I am the director of the AI and Modeling Center of Excellence in Ann Arbor. We started this center about 2.5 years ago, and our goal then was to develop talent and expertise in 3 interrelated areas: physics modeling, AI, and software. And today, I feel extremely privileged to be representing a team of about 75 highly talented young engineers who are making a great impact, not only for KLA, but for the tech community for us here in Ann Arbor. Today's talk is called AI for Poets. And poems, as we know, are made of words. So I'm going to motivate today's discussion using a single word, and the word is champagne. When we were growing up in India, we didn't have a chance to listen to too many native speakers of English. A lot of the words we learned from reading them in books. This meant that we often learned to pronounce them exactly as they are spelled. So champagne was champagni. Champagni. Now, the generation that came after us in India, they didn't have this problem because they grew up with MTV. So when I show you a sentence like this, which says, Gen X may be considered the last champagni generation of India, probably makes a lot of sense to all of you. Even though the word champagne is not being used in its conventional sense over here. In fact, what I've done is injected a slice of my life into this word. I might even have scarred a few of you for life because you can no longer think about enjoying this fine drink without thinking of what's his name from KLA. Words are wonderful because they are vessels for our creativity, for human creativity. And it's hard for us to believe that words can be represented by mere numbers, and then those numbers can be crunched by an algorithm. However, that's exactly what modern AI engines are able to do. So today, I'm going to give you a small glimpse of how they might be doing that. The analogy that I'm going to use is a map. In a map, any location can be precisely defined by 2 numbers, the latitude and the longitude. What we want to do is to create a map of the English language. In our map, each word in the English language will be represented by 2 numbers, the latitude and the longitude. And further, we want words that are related to each other, that are similar in meaning, to live close to each other, in the same neighborhood, so to speak. While words that are very different, they live elsewhere. The question is, how do you create such a map? Well, we can start with a lot of written works of English and start looking at sentences in them. Here's a sentence: 7 is a good time to meet. In this sentence, 7 is used correctly in the context of the other words. The small AI engine that we are going to use to create our map also wants to have examples of incorrect uses of the word 7, so it can compare and contrast. So how do we create such a sentence? What we do is that we take other perfectly valid sentences. This is one that's apt for October. And then we bump off a word at random, and we inject 7 into it. When we do that, we get this ridiculous sentence where 7 is obviously not used correctly in context. We create millions of these sentences, correct ones, incorrect ones, and feed it into a small AI engine and ask it to start forming an opinion about where on the map it wants to place each word. When it's all done, it ends up with something like this. You can see that the words 5, 6, and 7 are closely related words, so they kind of are close to each other. There is even a sense of ordering in them, where 5 and then 6 and then 7, there's some ordering in them. You can also see that the word 7, the number 7, and the Roman numeral 7, they're all tightly clustered to each other. And that's because they have very similar meaning in language. While a word like pumpkin, which is very different, that lives far away on the other side of town, so to speak. Now that we have created our map, what can we do with it? Turns out that since map is a mathematical representation, you can do simple math with words, like addition and subtraction. Let's see how that works. We'll start with the king. And again, when I say king, I mean the two numbers that represent the king, so a location on the map. We start with the king, and we subtract the location of a man from this king, and then we add a woman to this. So what I've done is I've taken a king minus man plus woman. What do you think we end up with? Exactly. We end up with a queen. One issue with our language map is that it also encodes the biases that exist in our language. So instead of a king, if I start at something else, like a doctor, and do the same thing, start with a doctor, subtract a man, and add a woman. What do you think you end up with? Exactly. You end up with a nurse, which is not so good a thing. The way for us to overcome this bias is for us to have more powerful AI engines that can be reflective and that can correct for this bias. And that is where KLA comes in. So I'm going to take a small diversion right now to talk about what KLA does, and then we'll come back to this main thread and tie the whole thing off nicely. What KLA does is we make machines that inspect computer chips. Computer chips are made on these things called semiconductor wafers. And on the smaller end of the scale, we find defects on these computer chips as small as 10 nanometers. In order for us to kind of think about these numbers, like 10 nanometers, 300 millimeters, in a more relatable terms in terms of our human experience, daily experience, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow up my 10 nanometer defect to be about the size of a penny. When I do that, the 300 millimeter wafer is about the size of Michigan's Lower Peninsula. What KLA's machines do is to scan the whole of Michigan's Lower Peninsula in about 1 hour, and we find maybe 100 randomly scattered pennies that might be lying anywhere on the peninsula. You don't know where it is, right? As you can imagine, this is an almost magical capability that we give to our customers. What our customers do with this capability is to figure out new and innovative ways of manufacturing computer chips. And they end up making better computer chips because of it. By better, I mean faster computer chips, cheaper computer chips. For almost, I would say, many decades now, KLA has had an extremely symbiotic relationship with this growth in chip technology. KLA machines help make better computer chips. The better computer chips make their way back into KLA tools, which make them even better. They can find smaller defects, they can run even faster, and it goes on and on and on. What we believe is that we are in a similar cycle, the beginning of a similar cycle, with AI now. Increasingly, AI tools and techniques are being used in KLA's tools to make them better. And we believe that our customers are going to use these tools in order to build even better AI chips and AI engines in the future. At KLA, we keep looking ahead. But if I pause and look back, what do I see? I see that KLA has been part of the most significant technological advances in all of our lifetimes, every single one of them. And when I look forward, what do I see? I see super powerful AI chips that can identify and correct for biases in real time. And I also see KLA being a part of the ecosystem that makes this a very tangible reality. This is a super exciting journey for us. And I hope those of you who are excited by what I'm just talking about will check us out at KLA.com. Thank you.